What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. That's from Mad Dog Morgan at the ending. It's bland, fantastic film. Dennis Hopper playing Australian bushranger. I fucking love that movie. It was spectacular. You should go and watch it if you have any balls, but you won't. Mad Dog Morgan. Download it off Pirate Bay. Tell you, it's nice to be in the sunshine. And you go for an afternoon walk after it's raining. Bloody beautiful. Spectacular. Probably the greatest thing on this earth is nature. It's better than human beings. Don't you love the taste of coffee? Or it could just be your mind has associated the taste of coffee with the effect. Nothing as you believe in this world, young man, young lady. Pavlov's dog, like the salivation at the sign of the bell because it associates that with food. So maybe we're just dogs. We're just like, that bitter taste of this burnt beans. I love it because it makes me fake interest in things. That beautiful, beautiful caffeinated nectar. Spectacular. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a hell of a show for you today. I'm going to be myself as always, and that's why I'll never be successful. That's why I'll die alone, because I am myself. But that's my cross to bear. I'm a prophet. I'm not meant to make friends. I'm meant to tell the truth. And that's just something I have to do, and that's okay. Some things you just have to do in this world. I found this notebook. I bought it with my father when we went to Byron Bay like 6-7 years ago. He paid for me to go to this spiritual conference with this modern American entrepreneur / guru. And I was the most skeptical person there. It was about 40-50 people paying like $3,000 for like a 4 or 5 day short course where we learn about how the world really works, and you have a better relationship with money and a couple of meditation exercises, and he had some special guests come on. Some famous authors talk about traveling and getting abducted by aliens, and his girlfriend at the time, she was speaking. She talks a lot about the divine feminine. They broke up. It's a nice little book. It's interesting. It's good to write dates on your notebooks. It's good to write down the date of when you wrote it, because then you can be like, 2017. All those years ago. What have I done with my life since then? It's nice to remember that time is fleeting, so you have to grasp life. You have to take it. You have to take it before it slips away and you end up dead. So, my first point of today is, without going out dancing, talking with similar intellectual people on Saturday, Friday nights, you can become depressed. So, this morning, I woke up. The second I woke up, I was miserable as tits. The second I woke up, I was just like, not a happy Janet. And I think it's because all I ever do is either work, study, take the dog for a walk, or watch political podcasts. And I grew up going to pubs and nightclubs and meeting people. And although it's tough to find people you really click with, people who have similar topics, I mean, it was nice to even have people drivel their nonsense about cars into my ear. It was just nice to have that human connection. And I have the option to, I don't have the option to now because I'm a second-class citizen. But yeah, I think it's so important to go out and socialise, even for introverts or people who are like, happy with their own hobbies. It's really important to go out dancing and and chatting, going to parties. It's so much fun. Fuck. I remember when I was single for a while, for like a day in between girlfriends, I went to like so many parties. It was insane. Like I went to in Fitzroy and stuff, and you just go to all these little strange places and end up with these all these different parties and dozens of different people there and all these colourful personalities. And it's not even about the liquor. It's not even about intoxication. It's just about rubbing your soul amongst other people, like similar age groups, similar sort of personality archetypes. And yeah, I think that because technology is getting so advanced, it's become more and more comfortable just to stay at home and avoid social interaction. But then again, obviously there's a lot of people that just go fill their lives with way too much unnecessary human contact, like with people they actually hate, but they don't have enough hobbies. I mean, I much prefer to have my hobbies, my podcasts and books and nature hikes than, dancing and singing and theatre and all that stuff. But I wish I had a little bit more of that. I wish I had a little bit more, because, before, the end of the world, before 2019, Katya and I, we used to go to theatre shows all the time, like live, dramatic, comedic theatre performances in Melbourne at this, art centre, and we'd go to ballet. I mean, one of our first dates, we went to see the Australian ballet. It was like $250 a ticket, and I was like doing the Hungry Chicken, And then we went to see the Russian ballet. That was like less than $100 a ticket, and that was even more impressive. I didn't fall asleep, which is a good sign. I went to Mount Coot-tha Botanic Gardens yesterday evening after work with my fiancée, and no one else was there. This place is a very special place. It has all these incredible gardens, all these subtropical plants, and all these fantastic lizards and huge spiders, and these sprawling lakes, and these families of ducks and giant turtles everywhere, and these hills that are very inspiring. Oh, sorry, I got a text. Got to see who that is. Who is it? Oh, it's Katya saying, do you want anything from the shops? No. I'm just going to text back no. Yeah, so I think it sucks that that people don't go on nature hikes enough, because we had a beer there. I had a beer. She had a sip, just one. I carried around for ages, and then we found a nice little spot. I had like a Woolworths bag, like the you got to pay $1.99 for these like kind of. What's the material? It's like kind of a woolly. It's like knitted. It's... What the hell... what do we need from the shops? I don't... man. We don't need anything. I didn't go. My... Apple Pay. I went to the shops before to go buy a bottle of scotch and the coconut waters and 5 coconut waters, but my Apple Pay hasn't worked. And I didn't get that frustrated, but for a second I was just like, why? Why? I was trying to download TikTok before because my brother complained that I got videos of him on there, but I wouldn't download it. It said you've been disabled from Apple Pay. I'm like, why does this shit happen to me, man? I'm a good person. I've never run anyone over. I pay my fucking taxes. What else do I have to do to earn your respect? So yeah. I bet you last night, or yesterday evening, when we were in Mount Coot-tha Botanic Gardens, just taking in all the serenity, just basking in the glory of the subtropical nature, I bet you there was 100,000 people at least watching Everybody Loves Raymond reruns. And what does he do in that show? He writes comments about sports and eats deep fried potatoes on the couch with his beer belly. And then he complains about how his wife doesn't want to have sex with him. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame that we don't go out and appreciate this world. Like, maybe it's not a typical Friday night activity, but it should be. Like, why don't more people just get out there and enjoy nature? You know why? It's because we're told not to. We're told that when you're just supposed to either be working or relaxing. That's what life's all about. I'll give it a go sometime. One time, after a hard-working week, have an espresso, put 2 beers in a nice Woolworths bag with a big chunk of ice on there, go for like an hour walk in these gardens and then find a nice little spot by the lake. Because on the way, it was just a good idea. I'm so happy that I went. Benefit of classical / metal music. So, at my workplace, they always play like the same music. It's like literally like the same 20 songs, like U2, Cold Chisel, Guns N' Roses, like November Rain. That's all they do. Sorry, she's asked me if she should go to the shops. She asked me if need anything from the shops, or did you go to the shops? I said no. I just wanted to get through the message, and now she's like, "Oh, what do we need?" Because it just made it worse. If I just wrote a proper message, it wouldn't have taken more time. But yeah, when I listen to classical music, it just really it just opens up your soul. And you may ask, "Oh, give me some examples of some classical artists, Give me some Mozart, give me some Beethoven, give me some Bach." But, you don't need to know their names. You just YouTube search, shocking classical music or electric or relaxing. And you don't need to know the names of the artists. You just need to get a playlist and just listen to it. Because it's not about showing off tell me who is your favorite artist. Give me their life story. But yeah, and I got metal music too. Like before, when my sister came over, I had on acoustic instrumental metal music. And that was very nice. You got to mix it up. You can't listen to the same genre of music because the art you absorb dictates your personality. The stratification of your presence is built upon your subconscious imprint from the music that you listen to. So be careful, mix it up. I remember when I first started listening to classical music about 10 years ago, at first I didn't like it, but then, just like Shawshank Redemption, I learned to love it. You know how they say that in prison? At first you hate it, and then you just don't mind it, then you learn to like it? Just like classical music. You do it enough, anything you do enough, you'll learn to love. My next point was written years ago in this book, probably like 5 years ago. I had points in that, youth obsession. So in society, we have an obsession with youth. And it's a crying shame because the older you get, the better you get. I mean, now, at 31 years old, I am more energetic, more in love with myself, way more optimistic. Optimistic? You're a negative, grumpy old bastard. No, but seriously, I think it happened in the 50s, 1950s, PR. Sigmund, what's his name? Sigmund Freud, his nephew, he invented public relations in America, and he said, look, we can't market wisdom. We cannot sell wisdom. What can we sell? We can sell youth. So they started making people obsessed with youth. Because before that, people loved wisdom. Like, you were called a kid until you're like 45. Now, everyone's obsessed with like these juvenile delinquents with like Jungle Boys. I'm a jungle boy, jungle boy. Like, what the fuck is that? Seriously. I mean, you can't just put a couple tattoos on you and get a shit haircut and think you're a sick cunt. Seriously. Respect is earned. You gotta climb a few mountains first. You can't just sit back and just think you're special. Like all these cop-outs, and it pisses me off that some girls think that's so hot. I remember once, this girl I knew from school, she was like, oh my god, look at his tattoos, he's so hot. It's like, dude, it's not hard to get tattoos. You just have to like lay there, take a Valium, and spend like $2,000 of your mum's money on getting like a little sleeve, and then everyone thinks you're a bad boy. I mean, how hard is it? So yeah, I think it's a shame. It's a shame to worship these young artists, these young people, because it's much better to be older. I don't mean like old, like 65, 70. I mean like the peak of human beings probably around 35, I'd say, 40. Get some wisdom under your belt first. And these days, with information we have, you can learn about things. You can learn about organic food. You can learn about nature hikes. You can learn about all these techniques to keep you young. Like a 40-year-old 40 years ago isn't the same as a 40-year-old now. And this is a point I made. Okay. So yeah, I'll finish up youth obsession. Yeah, like also, some women, they're not willing to accept a different stage in their life. Like they still want to be known as sexually desired. And it's a shame because you have so much to offer in different stages of your life. Like you can be proud to be known for your achievements and for everything you've given to the world. You don't have to be sexually desirable. That's not the only thing in life. You don't have to be like a bad boy. You don't have to be rebellious. You don't have to be like, like full of steam. You don't have to be aggressive in order to be cool. Like, not everyone needs to be fighting for Samaritan. Like, not everyone needs to be fighting for, what do you call it? Like, identity politics and stuff. Because, like, when we want enemies, and so we'll make up enemies in order to justify our existence. And it seems very romantic and dramatic that feel like you are some kind of person carrying, like, what's her name, like Emilia Jovovich, she played this Joan of Arc. It's very romantic to be like a Joan of Arc figure where you have to take on this battle. But I mean, pre-2019, this world is the best it's ever been. There's so much cool shit going on. Media small issue distraction. So, the first thing I think of is Russia, Ukraine. So, a lot of people who know nothing about this situation or don't know anyone from these places or have any connection, they post things like, oh, praying for my friends in Ukraine. Like, there's nothing even really going on there. And, like, the corporate media is blowing this out of proportion to make up for the fact that they've screwed us over for the past 2 years. But in particular, obviously they've been screwing us over for decades, but in particular the past 2 years. And so they will constantly feed us with these threats to keep us under control and to keep us distracted. A new one. It's like, if it's not North Koreans, if it's not global disasters, if it's not tidal waves, if it's not leeches, if it's not terrorists, if it's not white supremacy, if it's not the evils of meat, there's always something you're just scared of. Like, just next chapter. It reminds of 1984. Like, one week, it's like, we're fighting these people, and these people are our friends. Next week, don't worry about that. We're fighting these people now. It's like, come on, look at this. They're trying to keep us distracted in fear and just diverting our pain onto our exterior object instead of looking inside. When's the last time you worked out? When's the last time you did a yoga class? When's the last time you went on a spiritual retreat? we're not doing this stuff because we're looking outward for a threat instead of looking inside. Tailor-made smartphone use pigeonholing ideologies. So, obviously everyone knows that the algorithms on your phone are confirming what makes you hot. And so you get funneled into your perspective because they know what makes you tick. And so you think that's what everyone is thinking about. But someone else's phone, they've got completely different news. And so people are getting squashed because of the technology of knowing what you like. So you've got to be really careful to know there's a big world out there. It's a giant world out there. Some people live really differently. Being overly involved, lost in our own little world. So I see this often where people just get so obsessed with their work or their little family or their hobbies, they don't realize there's so many different things out there. I think it's so good to tap your toes in many different directions, not just focus on your little world. Like you got to branch out. You may be obsessed with making money, may be obsessed with your body, but you don't want to be too obsessed with anything because, like you see these guys that are just total gym junkies. They've been smashing roids since they were stopped breastfeeding, and it's such a shame because you can just see they're addicted to working out and they're addicted to showing off their muscles, and they may have insecurities. They may be trying to hide away from their emotions, so they just focus on working out, and it's an obsession and it's too much. And like my little sister said, she doesn't like those guys who are obsessed with working out because it shows they're not doing other things. I mean, obviously it's great to look after yourself, but not to the point where you're just ignoring the 5 million issues in this world and so many things like bonsai trees. Have you ever tried to grow a bonsai? I mean, they're really cool. Is the world getting better or worse? Well, I mean, technically the world's getting better because, world hunger's never been less. And we have so much access to information, but like in the White House, they're trying to censor people so much that you really don't have that much different options to choose from. I mean, I have all this technology in the world. Like I was talking to my colleague the other day. I was like, what do you do when you get home from work? And he's like, well, I watch basketball videos on YouTube. And that's all very well, but not all the time. I mean, I feel like we have all this technology and what we're doing, Like, you should really, just try and force yourself to get involved in something, some community engagement. So, but I said the world's getting better. But actually right now it's probably getting worse because obviously the Great Reset, they're trying to say, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Communism is the best. Okay, only clear-headed people have good attention spans. It's so hard to get people to really listen. I remember so many times, particularly in Melbourne, I talk to someone for like 3 seconds and I can already see the lost interest. I mean, unless they know they're going to get something out of it, like they want to get some money out of it or some status, they just can't pay attention. Attention spans, we're so used to seeing sex and violence and explosions and fights that we just feel like attention span's really bad. That's why I think it's good to sometimes to switch off, just go for a walk with no music. Just do some simple things. Just take a walk in the park, just do the dishes, cook a nice meal and give you time to reflect. Like I heard that people would rather pay $50 fine than be stuck in a room with their own thoughts for 10 minutes. But your thoughts are beautiful. You can have so much great things in simple things. And some of the happiest people I've met, when I went to Sri Lanka, I seen these kids playing in a sand pile and their smile was so big. Like, so simple things can be the best. And it's really shame, because to be a good listener, it's a dying craft. And when you're talking to someone and you can see they're really listening, it fires up the dopamine in the brain. It makes you feel really good. Why people feel the need to hoard resources. Okay. So a lot of people are just obsessed with hoarding resources, just accumulating capital, and then it doesn't make them any happier. It doesn't protect them anymore. So yes, it's very good to be financially secure, but it shouldn't be the focal point of your existence. You've got to look after your spiritual health, your physical health. You have to have community engagement. To hoard resources is a sign of insanity. I remember reading that in certain indigenous cultures, if someone collects more grains or does a lot better for themselves, it's in their instinct to give it all back and start again. I'm not supporting communism here. Hey, don't get me wrong. But I mean, it makes no sense to me. Like, I used to work with this Indian guy, and he was saying that he's been working at this crappy little bar for like 5 years in this tiny little kitchen, just frying up nuggets and chicken parmesanas for drunk losers. And he was a very funny guy. He was very charming, but all he was doing is sending his money back to India. So his dad bought a Lexus, and his dad's living in a poor town still, and there's lots of poverty and potholes everywhere, but he wanted just a fancy Lexus. And that seems like insanity to me. It seems like insanity to want to show off and say, look, my son's doing very well. He bought me this Lexus. When your whole community is fucked. Like, why would you just want to be like a king when everyone around you is suffering? It just seems like insanity to me. We always look to the future when life will get better, but what if it doesn't? So we always live our life thinking, okay, as soon as I get this, as soon as I get a promotion in my job, or as soon as I get married, or as soon as the kids leave the home, then life will get better. But I mean, life can really fleet past you, so you've got to be really careful to not let that moment disappear and not just be preparing for a moment that never arrives. I mean, everyone's at school is like, I can't wait to finish school. I can't wait to finish university. I can't wait to get that dream job. I can't wait to get that promotion. I can't wait to pay off that house. And it seems like we're just like rats in the system. We're just trying to wait for a moment when everything will be okay. But it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Next point. In Syria, you bring your neighbours over for tea. People are uptight here. So when I was doing this course at RMIT in Melbourne, there was this lovely lady. She came over from Syria, and she was saying in her country that it's very common that people will just always invite their neighbours around for tea, and they're very social all the time. But where I live, in Australia, people seem scared to have their neighbours over. Like, they don't want to invite people in. They'll talk to you on the street about your lawns, but they won't actually really, they won't invite you in. Like, they won't host any events. Like, I've been at my new job for a week, and there's this guy there, he told me he likes basketball videos. So I said, let's go to a basketball game sometime, but we can't. But, like, you got to initiate events. You got to not be afraid to initiate events and make your social life blossom. Why are we so afraid to host events and bring people in? Like, just be laid back. You bring someone in, not everyone's a serial killer, okay? You have to be more trusting. Like, the energy you give off to the universe will come back to you. Karma is real. Like, of course, don't be so trusting that you just invite every man and his dog over, but I feel like we should be proud to want to host more events and just be more trusting and just not make things so awkward. Like, most people are good, and the bad people, they're not bad all the time. And if you do something good, like ask them around for tea, they're not going to bring out their bad side then because they're so grateful. Like the people who are the biggest arseholes, they're the ones who need the most love. So do yourself a favour, invite an arsehole over for a cup of tea and some Scotch fingers. Come on, what have you got to lose? Australians and their passive-aggressive tones. Ho 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 ho. Ho 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 ho. You and I both know about some people on the phone, especially when they can't see you, they can be so condescending with their... It basically just punch you in the face with their words, with their tone. They'll be like, "Hi Chevy, I got your voice message the other day. So our phone lines are open from 9 till 4, Monday to Fridays." But they're just saying things in such a way, basically saying, "I hate you and I want you to feel bad so that your confidence gets lower, so you're less attractive and you get less chance to breed. I don't want you to be happy." And that sucks, because that really sucks, because they're literally trying to make sure your impact on the universe is as less as possible. And it's sneaky. It's sneaky. Why do you have to... Like, obviously, you go to a corporate place, you can't be yourself, but it's pretty low. It's pretty low to try and just bring someone down with your tone. I mean, people know so much about tone. Like, I think it's a real Australian thing. Just be like, beat around the bush and just not tell it how it is, and just be like, not call a spade a spade. Just say what's on your mind, people. It's much better to get it out. Just let it out. People look sick to me. So I was driving to class the other day and I just noticed there's this guy behind me, and just had this intense young guy, had these intense wrinkles and bags under his eyes, and I think the average person is just looking sicker. I'm not sure if it's because we're not visiting our relatives anymore, or because we're taking all the chemicals in our food, but the average person is just looking sicker to me. I mean, you watch films from like the 80s, the average person just looks so much healthier. I don't know what's going on. The cocktail of factors, but we've got to be careful, because I feel like a lot of people are just looking really sick. Make sure you're not one of those people. I'm a bit scared. I feel like my camera is cutting off half my head. It's going to be annoying to the viewers. My people watching this, I don't want you to be pissed off because you can only see half my head. Why I will most probably never be successful and I will die alone. It comes down to the intro, what I said, but I've kind of already mentally prepared to never be successful and to die alone, because I'm not just being poppy. Like, I was watching this YouTube video today of this young Australian couple. They were trying out wedding cakes, and they got like 300,000 views for trying out cakes, and they were very pleasant, very bubbly, but they were basic bitches. And I'm talking about interesting stuff here, but the algorithms are designed to shun people like me. People put their heart on their sleeve, because they don't want people out there being transparent with what's on their heart. They want people just act in this poppy little plastic world where they're just always pleasant and just look at just being so superficial all the time. And I mean, it could just be that I suck. I could just suck, but I'm pretty sure I don't suck. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty interesting. But the reason why I'm not successful is because it's heavy shit. People either they just want to watch basketball games, or there's no chance. I mean, I bet you there's heaps of like 15-year-old kids out there that will find what I'm saying pretty interesting, but they won't have access to this because no one will share it with them, and because I'm talking about big topics that will make people improve themselves once they know the truth, or just hear a different person's opinion. It's just good to try different things. Like, I mean, human beings are not just going to watch one person act like them straight away. But yeah, I'm pretty sure when I die, my work will do well. Like Vincent van Gogh, he died poor and alone, and I think that's my burden to bear. That people aren't ready for me yet. I feel like I remember once I was working at this bar in Melbourne, in Mandurah in WA, in Perth, and I was trying to chat to these people, and they were just like, "Dude, you're way too alternative for this town." So I went to Melbourne, and then people were like, yep. They're too busy. They're working 3 jobs. They're always like on coffee come down, so they can't even be ready for you. So, Aussie culture celebrates going too hard, trying to be extreme, but we just screw ourselves up. So I was chatting to my colleague yesterday. He was working for Qantas for 36 years, but now he's working with me. And he was a pilot, but now he can't do that anymore. And I was explaining to him how I had a conversation with this French backpacker, very interesting guy, so cool, this French backpacker. He spent like years just traveling a bicycle around Vietnam and around Europe, and he didn't even sponsor himself. He could have got like people to sponsor him, but he didn't, because he wanted to be completely alone. He wanted to be independent. He wanted to have an authentic experience. But he was saying how in France, people don't do as many drugs as they do in Australia. And I think it comes down to 2 factors. Firstly, that Australia has really high wages for average jobs, but also it's our culture here. We want to be extreme, we want to be tough, but we don't know how to do it. And so people think that going too hard at drugs and alcohol or food or work will make them extreme. But if you burn yourself out, you can't really do anything, because your mind's gone, or your body's gone, or your spirituality's gone. So you're not really being a true human being. You're not really complete. So you can't perform at your best. I feel like there's something wrong with our culture where we don't know how to. We want to be tough, but we don't really know how to be tough. Like, I remember once I was working at this cafe, and this girl was like, "Oh, the day after Australia Day, did you get any fights on Australia Day?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "You suck then." Like, it was expected that a young man should go out and bash people in the face in order to be a man, and that's not right. I keep crouching down because I don't know if I'm in camera. I don't know if I'm in the shot. I can see the top of my head being cut off. But I don't want to get up to change it. So I'll just keep crouching down. Okay, I think lockdown culture has disabled us socially forever. So I think that because we were told stay home, stay safe, it's really hard to recover from that. And so it's in our blood now. We just think it's totally normal to just stay at home and not take any risks, not go on adventures. I mean, it was a bit of a problem a couple of years ago, before COVID, where people would just be traveling all the time. All they want to do is go to Europe and take photos in front of the Eiffel Tower when they're hungover. That's just as bad. It's just as bad to try and escape from your problems, constantly traveling and going out. But it's more of a balance. We need to write and record ourselves and do hobbies, but also we need to go out and go on adventures, chase the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Macalester Peterson, Oxford. Okay, so yesterday I watched the beginning of this video of Michaela Peterson going to Oxford University to have her say on meat. The opposing argument was that meat is like a form of white supremacy. It's a form of like fragile male ego wanting to, and that we don't need it. And meat is overrated, and we should just all eat Bill Gates' Beyond Burger meat, because that's better for the environment. And I'm on Michaela Peterson's side. I was vegetarian for like most of my life, but now I'm not. And I realized it was because I was trying to seek virtue points. I was trying to be a good man, but I didn't know how. And factory farming is terrible, but like if you go to those farms, where they have these roaming pastures, like animals live better lives than us. But the point is, Michaela, what have you done to me? She had this dress, and it was really sexy dress, but I just don't think she works out enough. It didn't. It just. She looked a bit awkward. And if you're making an academic argument, why are you highlighting your sexuality? Because it deters from the point you're trying to make. You're talking about serious issues here. Your sexuality is a hindrance, and the cut in her dress went up to her hip, and I just don't think she could pull it off. I mean, I had this discussion with my girlfriend about it, and she was saying it wouldn't be okay. Like I said, well, it'd be okay if she was a bit hotter. I mean, yeah, she's pretty, but come on, that dress is for like a 10 out of 10. And she had on this sparkly handbag, and I'm like, dude, you don't get up in a lecture with your sparkly handbag. I mean, you don't need any kind of handbag. What have you got in there? You got your iPhone, you got your car keys, and some beef jerky. You don't need that up on stage. Like, yeah, I know it's an accessory, but it's just too much of a distraction. Like, why, Michaela? Why? You're breaking my heart here. I trusted you. My next point is, we are supposed to be problem solvers. So, people love to solve problems, but we've made life so easy for ourselves that there's not that many problems to solve. Like, just this morning, I was laying on the outdoor little sofa thing, and I was watching the rain, and I was just a bit sad, and then I started to write notes about what I'm going to make this podcast today on, and I started to feel instantly better, because I had some problems to solve. This problem was, what is some interesting conversations to discuss it on the podcast? And it's my day off, and because I'm so used to just doing my job and studying, that I need to have real problems, because obviously it comes down to hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary makeup. We're constantly fighting these demons, constantly worrying about our neighbors trying to kill us, and now our neighbors aren't trying to kill us, so we miss that. And so we need to solve problems. Like, you can see people getting excited about situations, and our chemical makeup is designed to want to seek adversity. But microwaves and fax machines have just made life so easy that we make mountains out of molehills. Life wasn't meant to be easy. That comes down to the previous point. Like, our life wasn't meant to be easy. I mean, to just lay there and watch TV, to me, it just seems unnatural all the time. Like, sometimes when I used to go to the theatre, I'd feel very jealous. I'd feel very down just watching these successful artists, because I felt so unnatural just to be sitting there in a concert while everyone else is getting all this attention. It feels unnatural to me. It feels like it's all natural for everyone, or most people, to have their little moment in the sun. I'd much rather see the little guy, the little girl, having the success more equally distributed. I don't mean communism, but I mean, I don't think we should worship celebrities, we should all, or most of us should have our say. I mean, there's so many great dancers out there, and writers and chefs, but we give all the attention just to a select few, and it overinflates their ego and self-esteem, and we're all left in the dark. Like, if you're fascinated by entertainment, if you're fascinated by theatre, why not get involved? Why not start your own little theatre show? My next point is obsession with diversity. So I'm sure you've noticed, but there seems to be a real obsession with diversity. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because it's not very good. It's not a very good approach to it. And it just doesn't seem natural, and it's too forced. And I mean, if something's forced, it just doesn't seem right. It's like Hillary Clinton. I feel like when she goes on stage, she tries to act like very powerful, like, I am the next president of the United States. Yeah! Like, it doesn't seem natural to me. I feel like she's been coached to act real powerful. It doesn't seem from the heart. Just be yourself. I mean, the most beautiful thing is when someone's being themselves. My next point is, why are men becoming so incredibly passive and not being willing to offend in the pursuit of truth? So, it feels like, because of the scientific fact that the testosterone levels of Western men are diminishing at a rapid rate, the lowest in the world, that we're not being true to our hearts, that we're lying to ourselves and not saying what's on our mind because we're not really men. Like, there's something wrong with our chemical makeup. And it's not right to not say what's on your mind. I mean, obviously you don't want to just spit out every verbal diarrhea, but so many cowards out there. A courage, a nice cup of hot courage is the most delicious tea with a bit of squeezed lemon, a bit of courage. Finger licking good. Get a nice hot cup of courage into you. Yeah. Every emotion has its place and it's beautiful. Okay. Anger, sadness, betrayal, manic excitement. They are all emotions that are necessary and should be hugged. Don't be afraid of all the different emotions out there. Be excited, be flamboyant, be bombastic. Squirrel away. Hide, reserve energy. Like, we're always supposed to be the certain one emotion all the time, but every emotion has its place. Like at a library, there's different authors, there's different sections. There should be different sections of your emotions too. We're not always meant to be happy-go-lucky. We're not always meant to be down in the dumps. Every emotion has its place, man. God damn it. Hey, you know the thing? Like you know the hair on my legs? Sorry, Joe Biden reference. Terrible one, by the way. Okay, now I had a couple of more points on my phone that I had. I wrote this down too, but people just care about their own lives. It makes them so much unnecessary misery about them. So, like, I know so many rich people, and they're miserable because all they do is hoard money for themselves, and they don't give back to the community, and it's not true to their heart, so they're unhappy Larrys. Like, we're supposed to spread your love, man. Like, just sit in the ivory tower and like the Scrooge, just sit in your mountains of gold or your wisdom. Like, how many people do you know are so wise? They know so much about sports. They know so much about cooking or trees, but they don't share it. I mean, to me, it makes sense that you're supposed to become teachers. If you become an expert in your field, I mean, almost everyone is an expert at something. And once you're an expert in an area, you're supposed to spread it. Spread your love. And if your expertise is money, then spread it. Give big tips. You got a restaurant like me. I'm generous as fuck. Like, I've never been rich, but if there's a really, really fascinating waitress, if she goes the extra mile, if she's intelligent, if she's charming, if he's charming, I'll give him like a juicy $20 tip. Yeah, it may not be much to you, but I mean, I'm a minimum wage here, guys. It's a big idea. Like, I heard that Ben Stiller, he gives like, someone like that, gave like a $20,000 tip once. I mean, I think that makes sense. Like, it's not, you don't want to bring bags of gold or wisdom with you when you die. Like, that's what I'm doing here. I mean, I know a little bit about a few things, and so I feel like it's my moral duty to spread it with the world. I mean, just in case one day I get into politics and get assassinated, I want there to be some videos available for my daughters and sons so they can see what their daddy was like. Purpose! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So I have my next point is purpose. So yeah, like I was saying before, I was feeling really melancholic when I was in the morning just looking at the rain, and then I wrote down some ideas and I went for a walk with my dog to go to the shops. My car didn't work, my Apple Pay didn't work, But on the way, I was getting so excited, knowing I had some purpose. I mean, you gotta have purpose in this world. Because I was thinking, like, if I died tomorrow, like my job, they could replace me. At my school, they could replace me. My girlfriend, my fiance, she would be very sad. But I mean, within like 6 months, she would meet like some IT professional, some handsome guy, and I mean, what do we really do? Like, I mean, an hour a day, we have like in-depth conversations during dinner, and we have like a lovey-dovey moments in our hikes, look into each other's eyes. But I'm replaceable. If I died, my little brothers and sisters, my parents and a couple of friends, they'd come to my funeral. They'd eat some salmon and cucumber sandwiches. They'd probably like have a bit of a cry, but in 3 days, they'd be like, Chevy who? And so, you want to know that if you were to get struck by lightning, that you will be missed. And that comes down to purpose. So, everyone needs a purpose. And I think you need a few purposes, not just to raise children, not just to make money, not just to rise a corporate ladder, not just to have shredded abs, not just to get likes for your goddamn booty pics on Instagram, but we need multiple purposes. It's what makes us human beings. I mean, we're magical creatures. Aliens may have fucked some apes 100,000 years ago, and we made us. Okay, that's a crackpot theory, but whatever. Next point was, you need, like, to constantly listen to shitty music will drive you insane, or keep you stupid. So, like I was saying before, in my workplace, constantly listening to the same 20 songs every day, it's just barbaric. I mean, there's so many different songs out there. Like, a lot of people are obsessed with the gangster rap or classical, or like, the dubstep, that electric music. And it's all made by machines. You gotta broaden your horizons, force yourself. You probably say, why would I force myself to do things I want to do? You know why? Because it makes you grow. It makes you grow. Don't you want to grow? I mean, yes, you may be growing your bank account, but that doesn't mean you're growing as a spiritual human being. You have many facets of your chemical makeup. You need to blossom like a beautiful flower. Social media makes it easier to be depressed. So, it's so funny now how you can numerically calculate your popularity by likes and comments. And so, it's never been so easy to be depressed. And what this does, it makes stupid people feel good about themselves, because most of the content out there is by people just very poppy, just touching on very neutral subjects, and they're the ones getting all the praise. And so they're getting this overinflated sense of self-esteem, which is making them super confident. Their aura is getting super confident, but they're just shit cunts. And that's fucked. Because all the intelligent people are just getting this terrible posture, and they're not having any kids. And so people are just, the situation is, we're breeding average people. I mean, look at TikTok. It's just the worst scum of society who are just I've got 5 million likes, so I'm the best. Yeah, because all you're doing is just showing off your breeding material, or you're just bashing walls. Like, I heard Michael Malice was saying, like, the biggest thing on TikTok was that some guy that has too many Rockstar energy drinks and then punches walls. I mean, hello. You're a terrible person. Don't feel good about yourself. But yeah, I feel like don't be obsessed with chasing likes, because yes, you may suck, or it may just be because the algorithms are designed to keep you down. So you got to check on that. You got to make sure it could be one or the other. Okay, my last point is, my little brother, one of them, reminds me of Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump was like, I remember seeing this video of him years ago where Donald Trump was asked about, Sir, Mr. Trump, what is your thoughts on the Chinese wages? How they're getting paid like 50 cents an hour to work in these iPhone factories? And then Donald Trump was like, yeah, well, it's the right wage for their lifestyle. I mean, if they get paid appropriately for their expenditures. I mean, no. So the problem with that is, let me tell you the problem with that is. The problem is, 1% of Chinese population are millionaires. If there's a billion Chinese people, that means that 10 million of them, 100 million of them are millionaires. And so they can come over here and buy all the houses. And they have lots of money to buy Gucci Prada. But the only reason they're doing that is because they have slaves. It's because they have no union rights. Because people are getting extorted. And so it gives a different perception. It's not right. Because over here, you open up a company, you have to pay $20 an hour minimum. So it's more difficult to get rich here. Because there's rules, there's regulations, there's unions. We have rights as human beings. We've worked very hard here in Australia to realize that human beings have rights. Or we used to before 2020. And so in certain countries, they haven't got regulations on companies, and so they can pay them dirt wages. And yes, they may have enough to eat, but they can't just, people in Australia can work as a waitress for 6 months of the year and then go traveling for 6 months all around Southeast Asia. So of course, that's not right, because how come a waitress in this country can travel the world for 6 months after, just for working for 6 months full time? But Chinese people can't do that. If you're a minimum wage in China, you cannot just go travel the world for 6 months after, 6 months on, 6 months off. You can't do that because they're not paid appropriately. And so the point is, some people have too much conviction, but they don't know enough about something. So I make a lot of mistakes, but that's because I'm off the cuff here. But I wish people would acknowledge my mistakes. Just comment. Hey, if you've got 5 seconds, comment down my mistakes. I want to learn from my mistakes. I don't want my mistakes to blossom. If you haven't got the guts to tell me my mistakes, I'm just going to go along. I want to know my mistakes because I'm not having enough feedback. Normally, if you have these crazy ideas, you go to parties, you discuss them. Someone's like, "Bro, that's weird as fuck," and then I'm like, "Okay, I'll settle that thought." But if I'm just here waffling off to this camera, and no one's ever telling me what's up, then I'm never going to learn. I want to learn. Be my teacher. I'll be a teacher. You be my teacher. We work together. We're a team. We're all on the same team here. We're working together. Let's be on the same team. And so, this man, he has so much conviction. He believes in his thoughts so much. And it's not right because you have to be willing to modify your beliefs. I don't mean throw them out, but don't get married to your beliefs. God, it's hard work. Oh, man, I don't know. Alright, goodbye everyone. Have a good weekend.